There is a quiet moment every morning that decides more than people realize, a small window where everything is still forming, and most people miss it completely. They open their eyes and within minutes their mind is already crowded, already reacting, already losing control. And that is where the real problem begins, because most people lose their entire day in the first 10 minutes after waking up, not because the world is against them, not because of bad luck, but because of what they say to themselves before the day even starts. A single thought can tilt everything. A single sentence repeated in the mind can slowly shape emotions, decisions, and even results. And here is what most people don't notice. The brain is at its most suggestible state right after waking up. It is softer, more open, more impressionable, almost like wet cement before it hardens, and whatever is pressed into it at that time tends to stay for the rest of the day. This is not just motivation. This is how the mind actually works. Patterns begin early, emotions follow those patterns, and actions follow emotions. So by the time most people start their day, they are already running on a script they never consciously chose, a script filled with stress, doubt, pressure, and distractions. And the worst part is they think it is normal. They think that is just how life feels. But it is not. It is simply untrained thinking repeating itself every single morning. And that is where everything changes, because once you become aware of this, once you realize that your morning thoughts are not random but powerful signals that program your day, you start to see a different possibility, a quiet kind of control that does not come from forcing the outside world, but from shaping the inside first. And this is exactly where affirmations come in, not as empty words, not as wishful thinking, but as intentional direction for your mind, because the brain does not argue with repetition. It accepts it, it builds around it, it starts to believe it over time, and that belief begins to influence how you see yourself, how you react, and what you expect from your day. And here is something that most people overlook. The difference between a person who feels in control and a person who feels lost is often not talent or opportunity. It is the internal language they repeat daily, especially in the morning when it matters the most. So this is not just about saying a few positive lines. This is about changing the starting point of your entire day. Because when the start changes, the direction changes, and when the direction changes, outcomes slowly follow. And in this video you are going to learn 4 powerful affirmations that are simple but deeply effective. Affirmations that are designed to shift your mindset from reactive to intentional, from uncertain to grounded, from scattered to focused. Each one has a purpose. Each one targets a specific way your mind tends to drift in the morning. And when you use them correctly, they begin to create a different internal environment, one where you feel more in control, more steady, more aligned with what you actually want your day to feel like. And the reason you should stay until the end is because these affirmations are not random. They build on each other. Each one strengthens the next, creating a complete mental reset that most people never experience. Skipping one means missing a piece of the structure. And by the time you reach the last one, you will understand something deeper, that you are not just preparing for the day, you are shaping the version of yourself that will live through it. And once that shift happens, even in a small way, it starts to reflect in everything you do, in how you speak, how you respond, how you carry yourself. And that quiet confidence is not loud, but it is powerful. And it begins in moments just like this, calm, intentional, and focused. So if you are ready to take control of how your day begins, instead of leaving it to chance, if you are ready to replace automatic thoughts with deliberate ones that actually serve you, then stay with this until the end. Let each word settle. Let each idea connect. And give yourself the space to experience something different starting today. Welcome to the channel. And if this is the kind of mindset you want to build consistently, then make sure to subscribe and be part of this journey, where small shifts create powerful change every single day. The day does not begin when you step outside. It begins in the quiet seconds after you open your eyes, And for most people, that moment is already filled with noise. The hand reaches for the phone almost automatically. The screen lights up. Messages, notifications, news, problems, expectations, everything starts rushing in before the mind has even had a chance to settle, and without noticing it, you are no longer starting your day, you are reacting to it. Your attention is pulled in different directions, your thoughts begin to scatter, and slowly a feeling builds up, a low pressure that sits in the background. You feel like you have things to do, things to fix, things to worry about. And even if nothing has actually happened yet, your body starts to respond as if it already has. This is where stress quietly enters, not as a big dramatic moment, but as a series of small thoughts stacking on top of each other. And then comes overthinking, replaying yesterday, predicting problems, creating scenarios that may never happen. And all of this happens within minutes of waking up, before you have even given yourself a chance to breathe properly, before you have chosen a single intentional thought. And then the feeling becomes familiar. You wake up already tired, already behind, already doubting yourself, not because your life is falling apart, but because your mind has been trained to start this way. And once that pattern begins, it becomes very hard to break during the day, because everything that follows is influenced by that starting point. Your reactions, your mood, your focus, even your confidence, they all take shape based on those early thoughts. And this is something most people never question. They think their feelings are caused by their circumstances, but often it is the other way around. Their internal state is shaping how they experience everything else. And here is the key insight that changes everything. Your mind is most sensitive in the morning. It is more open, more flexible, more receptive to suggestion, almost like it is waiting for instructions. And if you do not give it clear direction, it will pick up whatever is loudest, and usually that is stress, doubt, or distraction. So what you say to yourself in those moments matters more than you think. It is not just background noise, it is guidance, it is setting the tone, it is building the lens through which you will see your entire day. And once you understand this, a new kind of responsibility appears, because now it is not just about what happens to you, it is about what you allow to repeat inside your mind. And this is where affirmations begin to make sense in a practical way, not as empty phrases but as intentional choices. Because your brain listens to repetition, it is constantly picking up patterns. It does not stop to analyze every thought. It does not question each sentence deeply. It absorbs what is repeated consistently, and over time it begins to treat those repeated thoughts as truth, even if they started as simple words. This is how beliefs are formed, slowly, quietly, through repetition. And if that repetition is negative, if it is filled with doubt, fear, limitation, then those patterns become stronger, they become automatic, they begin to feel real. But the same process can work in your favor when you become aware of it, because when you choose your thoughts intentionally, when you repeat something that supports the kind of person you want to be, the brain begins to move in that direction. It starts to align your focus, your emotions, your actions with that repeated message. And this is why affirmations are powerful. Not because they magically change reality in a single moment, but because they consistently guide your mind toward a different internal state. They create a direction, and direction over time becomes change. And if you do not choose your thoughts, your fears will choose them for you. Your past will choose them for you. Your environment will choose them for you. And that is why most people stay stuck in the same emotional cycles, because they never interrupt the pattern. They never insert something new. They simply continue repeating what they have always repeated. And that repetition keeps producing the same feelings, the same reactions, the same results. So affirmations are not magic, they are direction. They are a way to take back control of the narrative running inside your mind, especially in the morning when it matters the most. And once you accept that, you are ready to begin with something simple but powerful. The first affirmation is this: today I choose how I feel. And at first it may sound too simple, almost obvious, But when you really look at it, it challenges a deep habit, because most people believe their feelings are controlled by what happens around them. They believe a bad message, a difficult task, a stressful situation has the power to decide their emotional state. But this affirmation shifts that belief. It reminds you that there is a space between what happens and how you respond. And in that space there is a choice. Even if it is small, even if it is not perfect, it is still yours. And when you repeat this affirmation, you begin to strengthen that sense of choice. You begin to separate yourself from automatic reactions. You remind yourself that you are not just responding to the day, you are participating in how it feels. And this does not mean you ignore reality. It means you approach it with awareness. You recognize that your initial feeling is not the final decision. And slowly this changes how you carry yourself. You become less reactive, more steady, more intentional. You don't wait for a good day to happen. You create one through your response, through your mindset, through the way you choose to see things. And this is where the affirmation becomes more than words. It becomes a practice. Today I choose how I feel. Today I choose how I feel. Today I choose how I feel. Letting it settle, letting it shape your focus, and from there the second affirmation builds on this foundation. I am in control of my thoughts and my energy, because once you accept that you can influence how you feel, the next step is understanding what creates those feelings, your thoughts, the way you interpret situations, the way you talk to yourself, and your energy, the emotional tone you carry. These two things influence everything: your decisions, your interactions, your performance. And when you say this affirmation, you are reminding yourself that you are not powerless in this process. You can guide your thoughts. You can shift your focus, even if it takes effort, even if it feels unnatural at first. You can choose where your attention goes, and that choice begins to shape your energy. And your energy is something people feel, even without words. It shows in your presence, your posture, your tone, and it often enters the room before you do. It influences how others respond to you, how opportunities unfold, how confident you appear. And when you take control of your thoughts, your energy follows, becoming more grounded, more focused, more aligned. And this is why repeating this affirmation matters. I am in control of my thoughts and my energy. I am in control of my thoughts and my energy. I am in control of my thoughts and my energy, allowing it to guide your awareness. And as you continue, the third affirmation introduces a deeper layer. I am becoming the person I want to be, because change does not happen instantly. It is a process, a series of small shifts repeated over time, and many people struggle because they expect immediate perfection. They judge themselves too quickly. They feel like they are not enough because they are not where they want to be yet. But this affirmation removes that pressure. It focuses on growth instead of perfection. It reminds you that you are in motion, that every step counts, that every effort matters, even if it is small. And when you repeat this, you begin to see yourself differently, not as someone who is failing, but as someone who is evolving, someone who is learning, someone who is moving forward. And this creates a sense of patience, a quiet confidence that does not depend on immediate results. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You don't need to be perfect today. You only need to continue becoming, and that is enough. Progress is power, even when it feels slow, even when it is not visible yet. And repeating this affirmation strengthens that belief. I am becoming the person I want to be. I am becoming the person I want to be. I am becoming the person I want to be, letting it replace self-doubt with steady growth. And then the fourth affirmation brings everything inward. Everything I need is already within me, because after all the effort, all the searching, all the comparison, many people feel like they are missing something, like they need more confidence, more clarity, more strength, as if these qualities exist somewhere outside waiting to be found. But this affirmation shifts that idea completely. It brings your focus back to what already exists inside you. Even if it feels hidden, even if it feels weak, it is still there. Your ability to think, to adapt, to learn, to push forward. These are not things you need to earn from the outside, they are things you already carry. And when you repeat this affirmation, you begin to reconnect with that inner resource. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to rely less on external validation and more on your own sense of direction. And this creates a deeper form of confidence, one that is not easily shaken by circumstances because it is rooted within. And this is where the emotional shift becomes clear. You are not lacking, you are forgetting your strength, forgetting your ability, forgetting your potential. And this affirmation brings that awareness back. Everything I need is already within me. Everything I need is already within me. Everything I need is already within me. Allowing it to settle, allowing it to build belief. And as these affirmations come together, they begin to form a pattern, a new starting point for your day, one that is intentional instead of reactive, one that is steady instead of scattered, and the practice becomes simple but meaningful. Say these every morning, before your phone, before the noise, before the world begins to pull your attention away. Give yourself those few moments to set the direction, to choose your thoughts instead of absorbing whatever comes first. And when you say them, do not rush, do not treat them like a task. Say them slowly, with awareness, with presence. Feel the meaning behind each word. Let it connect with your mindset. Let it influence how you see the day ahead. Because this is not about repeating words. It is about shaping identity. It is about deciding who you are going to be as the day unfolds. And when that identity becomes clear, your actions begin to align with it naturally. Your reactions change, your focus sharpens, your energy stabilizes, and this is where the real shift happens. Not in a dramatic moment, but in consistent practice, in small intentional choices repeated daily, because your day follows your identity, and your identity is built through what you repeatedly tell yourself, especially in the quiet moments when no one else is listening. And that is where everything begins to change, slowly, steadily, and powerfully, as you continue to guide your mind in the direction you choose without breaking the flow and allowing each affirmation to settle deeper into your awareness. With every repetition you give it each morning, as it becomes part of how you think and how you move through the day without forcing it, but simply allowing it to guide you in a more intentional way that continues to shape your experience from the inside out. Every single day you practice it without interruption. The truth becomes clear when everything slows down. Your life is not unfolding by accident. It is being shaped quietly by what you repeat to yourself every single day, especially in the moments when no one is watching, especially in the early hours when your mind is open and listening. You don't wake up to a random life. You wake up to what you repeatedly believe. Every thought you allow, every word you accept, every feeling you reinforce begins to build a pattern, and that pattern slowly turns into your reality, not in one big moment, but in small, consistent shifts that add up over time. And once you see this, you realize something powerful. You are not as stuck as you thought. You are not as limited as it once felt. Because if your words have been shaping your direction without awareness, they can also reshape it with intention, and that is where your control begins, not outside, not in perfect conditions, but inside the way you speak to yourself when the day begins, because change does not start when everything is ready. It starts when you decide to guide your own mind differently, and that decision, repeated daily, becomes a new direction, a new identity, a new experience of life itself. Change your words and you change your direction. Change your mornings and you change your life. And this is not something you need to wait for. This is something you can begin with the very next morning, in those quiet first moments, before anything else tries to define how you feel. And if this message stayed with you, if even a small part of it made you think differently, then carry it into your morning. Let it guide you. Let it remind you of the power you already have. And if you want more content like this, more simple but powerful shifts that can help you take control of your mindset and your life, then subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who might need this reminder too. because sometimes one idea at the right time can change everything going forward.